Welcome to Chapter 2, Part 1 of our class activity. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to work with our metadata tags, our browser tab image, and our Google Fonts. So the first thing you're going to need to do is we need to get to our Chapter 1 folder. So we're going to select Flag E, and we're going to find our removable disk or our flash drive. And then we want to go into Web Design 1, and we're going to go into Chapter 1. And we're going to take this website, my first web page from Chapter 1. We're going to right click and copy this. I highly recommend that you do this as we go. You can just stop the video and start it up again as you go through. We're going to click on Web Design 1 up here in our path, and we're going to double click on Chapter 2. If you haven't created a Chapter 2 folder, please do so and then double click on it. And we're going to right click and we're going to paste in my first web page. So we're going to double click on that. We're going to select index HTML and then right click, and we're going to edit that with Notepad++. Now we should be looking at our website that looks very similar. Take that out because you guys don't have that yet. Very similar to, or is exactly like our first web page that we created. There's our image at the end. All right. So the first thing we're going to do is add our link for our browser tab. So we're going to put our cursor at the end of line 5, hit enter a couple times, and then tab over. We're going to type in link. Then we want to create that relationship for shortcut icon. And then we're going to type in our attribute called href, that's hyperreference or hyperlink reference. And then we have to stop here because we don't have our image yet. So let's go to our website, Google Chrome, and we want to go and, sorry, it's opening up new stuff. We want to go to images on the far right side, and we're going to, this is a web page, why don't we just type number 1, all right, the number. And so images are going to search for that. All right. And now we want to look for an image, but remember, before we do that, we have to go to Tools, go to Usable Rights, and make sure we use Label for Reuse with Modification, right? Because these we can actually use legally. And then I'm going to right click on the image, Save Image As. And then we're going to go and find our flash drive. We're going to look for our web design folder. We want to go into Chapter 2. We want my first web page, and under images we are going to save this, and let's just call this number 1, and then we'll save it. All right, so that's actually in there now. So now we're going to right click and we're going to actually copy this image, and now we want to open up Paint. So because we need to resize this image, so we want to open up Paint. There we go. And then we're going to do Control V, and so it should appear there. We're going to resize it. We want it pixels, and let's change it to 90. All right. Okay. Then remember, we have to get rid of all this excess of white. We don't want all that in there. That'll make it look funny. Oops. And then now let's go ahead and save this. And we need to make sure that we are in on our flash drive. And we're looking for our web design folder. And it'll be underneath Chapter 2. We want our images, and let's call this tab mini or thumb. Let's call it thumb. So we know that's the one that we want to use. We're going to save that. All right, we can exit out of Paint. And then let's go back to our website. And now we're going to, once we're back here at our website, we're going to go to Open. And this should open up right to your web page. Sure enough, here's my first web page, images. So my path, I know, is images, so I can either type that in or copy it. All right, now let's go get our file name. Here we go, tab thumb. So we're going to select that. And we don't need to get the height or width since this is just going to be on our browser tab. Oops. And then we need to close this out and then a right angle. Let's go ahead and save that. And then let's run it to see if it actually pops up on our website. Yep, if we look up here, there is our number 1. So now we have a little browser image on our website. All right, going back to Notepad++, the next step is to add in our meta tags. So we're going to put our cursor at the end of line 11, hit enter twice, and we're going to type in our meta. We're doing our name. Remember, the attribute for the metas is there's 2 of them. There's name. So we're going to do name equals, and we want this to be title. All right. And then we're going to do content. Here is our second attribute, content equals. And here we're going to type in meta, data, tag, and dash dash. Let my first web page. There we go. So this sets up our title. We're going to hit enter. I'm going to put our cursor at the end, hit enter a couple times. We're going to put in our next meta data tag. Again, this one uses name, and this one will be description. And we want content for our second attribute. And we're not going to put a lot of description in here because it's pretty basic, but normally you would spend time with this to come up with a good description so that it can show up in the search. So we'll just say this web page displays my first attempts at web design. There we go. That'll be good. And our next metadata tag is our name equals. It's going to be robot. And then we want content equals. We're going to put in index, comma, follow. That's kind of the standard that we would use for the index. Now we have our 3 meta tags in here. Let's save it. And this really should have no effect at all on what our website looks like. And I don't see any errors. Got my little icon. So that's good. We're going to go back to the website. All right. Back in Notepad++. So now we want to add in our Google font links. All right. So with our cursor on line 17, we're going to hit enter twice. We're going to go to to Google Chrome. We're going to type in Google Fonts. Oops. Hit enter. And right here is our Google Fonts. We're going to select that. The first fonts we're going to take are going to be for the entire website. So as we wait for this to load up, we are going to also find one for our H1, but first we want to set up the fonts for our website. All right, so Google Fonts is starting to open up, and on the right side underneath categories, the first one we want is sans serif, right? Because that's going to be for our entire website. So we're going to deselect everything else because that way we'll just get serifs. There we go. And now what I'd like you to do is scroll to see if you can find a particular font that you like. All right. I haven't got my scroll bar yet, but you can scroll through and find it. I'm going to select this one because I don't want to wait for my scroll bar. So if I want this Lato, I can click on the plus sign. And at the bottom, I'm going to see family selected. And here it is. Okay, I need to select my first link. So I'm going to click on that and copy it. We're going to go back to Notepad++. We're going to go down to line 19. All right, and we're going to paste in that link. All right, then we have to go back to Google Sites because we also need the link for our CSS. So we're going to triple click on the font family underneath specify in CSS. We're going to copy that. We're going to go back to Notepad++. We're going to go down to our body tag on line 24. I'm going to put my cursor after the semicolon. I'm going to type in font family, colon, and I'm going to put space. And there now I have in my font family. All right. But I'm also going to put in there now font size because I want to determine that size. We'll put in 1.2 EM. Need a semicolon. Let's pull that and close back up. There we go. We're going to save this and let's run it. So when you're doing this, you're going to need to make sure that you have both your font family and your font size. I'm not sure why it's taking so long. Let's try to run it again. There we go. And there it is. It's applying all of my font. So now I have my font family applying to everything. That's good. We're going to go back to Notepad++. And this time now, we're going to put our cursor at the end of line 19, hit enter twice, and we're going to go to Google Fonts again. And we're going to exit out of that. This time we're going to deselect sans serif and let's go to serif. And you should get a pull down here or a drop down, or you can slide through. I'm not getting it right now because my internet's too slow. So I'm just going to grab one. I'll do the Roboto slab. I'm going to click on the plus sign. I'm going to open it up at the bottom. And I'm going to triple click on the first set of codes. And then I'm going to go back and I'm going to paste in. Now, if you look at how I pasted this in, you notice it also included the Lato from up here. Well, I don't want the Lato here, so I made an error. So I'm going to do Control Z to get rid of that. And I'm going to show you why we had the error. All right. If you look up here underneath your font, your families selected. Oops, let me get that back. It has both of these up here. So we need to clear that first, and then we can select and open this up at the bottom. And you notice now it's gone. So now I can triple click on that and copy it. Let's go back to Notepad++. And now I can paste that in. I'm going to get rid of this extra spacing. Now remember, even though I have it up here in my as a link, I'm just linking to it. I am not actually applied it to my CSS coding. So I'm going to go down and find Hello World on line 27. We're going to go back to font families and our Google Fonts, and we're going to triple click under the specify because we're going to specify this in our H1 tag. So we're going to put our cursor there. We're going to type in style equals, then we're going to paste in. And then let's close that out with a quotation mark. All right. So now we're saying for the H1 tag, we want you to override the general body fonts and apply this Robota slab to just the heading tag. So let's go ahead and save it. We're going to run it. Now I have the heading tag that looks a little different. All right. So what we covered is that we put in our shortcut icon on our browser tab. We added our 3 metadata tags. We added our links for Google Fonts. And then we went to the body tag and applied those Google Fonts to the body and to the H1 tag. Make sure you save this and run it before you exit out, and then head back to your next phase, which will be your Chapter 2, Part 2 PowerPoint. Thank you.